Well, from political leaders to philanthropists to pop stars, 2022 saw women around the world make their mark in all fields. But who made the biggest impact this year? Forbes Women set out to determine just that with its annual list of the world's 100 most powerful women. The list is out this morning, and here to break the news on it and break it down is the editor of Forbes Women and the driving force behind the Forbes 50 over 50 lists as well, which have gone global, Maggie McGrath. Maggie, it's good to see you. So I'm so excited about this. There's so much to talk about here because there are a number of crossovers on this list.
There are so many crossovers. Yeah. And I think that's in part because of the thesis of the 50 over 50. We look for women who are stepping into their power over the age of 50.
Right.
So when we did the 50 over 50 Europe last year, Ursula von der Leyen, the president of the European Commission, she fit the 50 over 50 thesis.
And yet she tops this list.
She did not enter politics until her 40s, and now she shapes policy for 450 million people. She was number 8 on the list last year, but we really like her this year in part because of her response to COVID. She passed mega aid packages, and also she's been a leader in standing up to Russia in its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us, who's the youngest woman on this list?
Yeah,
and
youngest,
the
oldest. Yeah, what do we got? The range here.
The range is 32 to 82. Taylor
Amazing.
Swift is 32 years old for another week. And 82-year-old Nancy Pelosi is...
That's an awesome 50-year spread. It's an achievement and accomplishment.
Yeah, it really is.
Can, keep going.
It's an incredible spread. And for as many 50 over 50 members as we have on the list, like Vice President Kamala Harris, Jenny Johnson, the CEO of Franklin Templeton, we also have Sanna Marin, the Prime Minister of Finland. She broke the record as being the youngest female prime minister.
And it's so cool because we talk about the long runway and the 50 over 50 lists. And like Ursula von der Leyen, Nancy Pelosi started her political career, I think, at the age of 47. And look at her now. So it's incredible what these women have been able to accomplish. And I'm curious in what fields we're seeing growth, where we're seeing more women break through.
We see a lot in politics. We have von der Leyen, for instance, who rose the ranks this year because of her leadership. I mean, we did see weakness in the tech sector this year. We've seen what's happened with the markets. So that's allowed women in policy and politics to rise to the ranks and what they're doing for fighting inflation and just providing leadership and guidance in this critical moment. We are also seeing more women than ever leading in finance.
Interesting.
This list.
That's a man's world usually.
And we love to see women leading companies, and not just companies, leading stock exchanges. On this list is Lynn Martin. She leads the New York Stock Exchange. We have Adina Friedman, the head of the NASDAQ.
Janet Yellen.
We have Janet Yellen, who leads the Treasury, and we also have Laura Cha, who leads the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So it's not just in the U.S., it's completely global.
And you have Jenny Johnson on the list as well. Tell us about her.
She is 58 years old. She leads Franklin Templeton. It is a $1.5 trillion asset under management firm. And, like the other women on this list, she cares about closing the gender equity and wealth gaps.
There is an honoree who is receiving her honor posthumously. Can you talk about her?
And that's the first time for this list, right?
That is the first time for this list. Every year we use the number 100 spot as a way of acknowledging women who aren't traditionally powerful.
Yeah.
This year we decided to acknowledge Gina Mahsa Amini. She was killed in September, and her death at the hands, allegedly, of Iranian's morality police have sparked protests unlike any that we have ever seen. They are going on 80 days straight now. And my sources say it's the first women-led revolutionary moment the world has seen. It is not the first time Iranian women have protested for their rights. By law, they are treated as second-class citizens, and they marched for their rights in 1979, in the 80s, in the 90s. In 2006, there was a signature campaign to get more rights. But the abuse, the pictures that emerged from also 2 female journalists who are now in jail, that made this news story go global. So Mahsa stands as representative, I want to be very clear, as a representative for all the women who are in the streets and marching for their rights.
So we're going to, this is amazing, again, the 100 most powerful women Forbes list. And I want to just take a moment because Maggie and I have a lot of work to do this week. This Thursday, Thursday, we have a luncheon for our 50 over 50 list honorees. The vice chair of the 3050 Summit, Huma Abedin, will be there. And Hoda Kotb is going to do a fireside chat. And our luncheon last year really kicked off the first 50 over 50 list before it even went global, the first U.S. 50 over 50 list. We had Dr. Jill Biden, and the mood in the room was so amazing. There were so many women. You really got to see what the 50 over 50 list means. It's not just women in their 50s. They're in their 60s. They're in their 70s. They're in their 80s. They're in their 90s. I met them all, and they were having the most impact, later in life. And the runway didn't end for them and doesn't end.
And they were enjoying connecting with each other. I mean, I saw Dr. Alice Stanford talking to the grandmother of Juneteenth and other women in their 80s and 90s. It was incredible to see the energy in the room. And I'm excited to see it again this week.
We're going to honor Hoda at this Thursday's lunch. Stay tuned for details about our 3050 Summit as well. That's taking place in Abu Dhabi, which is March 7th through 10th, right around and on International Women's Day. We're going to be joined by the world's most powerful women, including many of our list makers from around the world. So head to Forbes.com or knowyourvalue.com for more information on that as well. And you'll be hearing much more about this on Thursday. We're going to have some big news, some 3050 news to break as well. Editor of Forbes Women, Maggie McGrath, thank you so much. Great job.